Let's get straight to the point, starting with 3 key strengths. First, there is the screen. This screen is excellent, both inside and out. Externally, it features physical symmetric bezels. This gives it a clear edge over its competitors. Namely, the recently released iQOO 15 and Redmi K90 Pro Max. Neither of those rivals has physical symmetric bezels. Symmetric bezels provide a much better sense of immersion. And it feels incredibly premium once you hold it in your hand. Just take a look at these bezels. This is a unique advantage that sets it apart from the rest. As for the internal specs, it features a 165Hz refresh rate. If you are upgrading from 120Hz to 165Hz. I'll be honest, the difference is quite noticeable to me, while it is not as drastic as the jump from 60Hz to 90Hz, which is more pronounced. Pushing the envelope on screen refresh rates is something OnePlus pioneered as a manufacturer. Now they've pushed it even further to 165Hz, which is certainly commendable. Of course, in an era where high refresh rates are standard, given the current market environment. I mean, even iPhones have high refresh as standard now, right? But then again, compared to its competitors, take the 144Hz on the iQOO 15 for example. Jump to 165Hz is honestly almost imperceptible, but remember, iQOO features a 2K Samsung M14 panel, and the K90 Pro Max has super pixels. The K90 Pro Max has super pixels. So, regarding the display compared to its two rivals, or rather, they each have their own strengths. Its advantage is still quite significant, mostly due to those physical symmetric bezels. At least aesthetically. The second advantage is its extensive game optimization. As I mentioned earlier, the biggest strength of the OnePlus 15 this time is definitely its screen. Since they have the top-tier hardware, and the craftsmanship to match, the results are naturally outstanding. As for the 165Hz gaming adaptation, the Black Factory Oppo must have invested heavily in this. After all, as we know, these partner games are all from major developers. When you negotiate adaptations with big studios, it naturally requires significant R&D and financial resources. I expect this 165Hz adaptation will eventually trickle down to other models under the Oppo brand, including Oppo's own main series. And even the Realme series might get a piece of the pie. For all devices within the Black Factory ecosystem, this is a significant benefit. Now, for the third advantage. The third advantage is the design. The overall texture and build quality deserve praise. They've done a truly remarkable job here. The one I have here is the sand dune color. The finish is a fine-grained, warm-toned matte texture. The black version should look great too, since it is a very deep solid black. Personally, I'm not a big fan of the purple, because I feel that particular purple is a bit too vibrant and flashy. And if you look closely at the purple variant, whether in official photos or other bloggers' hands-on videos, you can see it is not actually a solid color. Specifically, the frame. It seems to have a coating that creates a high-gloss highlight. So, for me personally, I think it is a bit too loud. It doesn't really feel like the OnePlus we know. It feels more like Oppo's Reno series. But the texture of the sand dune color is fantastic. The side frame and the camera deco are not finished in standard anodic color. It appears to use a coloring process similar to electrophoresis. When you touch it, it has that cold metallic feel. And as for the tactile experience, it feels warmer and more skin-friendly. It still has a fine sandy texture to the touch. The overall build quality is excellent, even with this camera deco. As you can see here, the top and side bezels are at least symmetrical now, so it looks a bit more balanced and harmonious. And since this deco is square, you can see that its R angle, specifically the R angle of the deco and the inner camera curves, are all perfectly aligned and parallel. This significantly enhances the premium feel of the device. It makes the rear camera deco look much more harmonious and pleasing to the eye. Now, let's talk about this dune color. The back cover is fiberglass, I believe. It still feels quite cool to the touch, without any of that cheap plasticky feel. As for the black and purple versions, they use a glass back. The glass models are slightly heavier, and a tiny bit thicker. But in terms of texture, the premium feel of glass should be even more pronounced. Just one more thing. Once you actually get this color in your hands, it feels incredibly refined and delicate. I'll let you hear the texture headphones recommended. Take a listen to the tactile sound. Alright, that covers the 3 main highlights. Now, let's move on to the downsides. The first issue is that I find the pricing of this phone a bit baffling. Or rather, completely unreasonable. It feels like they've caught Apple disease. A 900 yuan gap between the 12 plus 256GB and 16 plus 512GB models. That is getting a bit scary. The top-tier model even reaches 5,400 yuan, which is just outrageous. Charging 600 yuan to go from 16 plus 256GB to 16 plus 512GB. Charging 600 yuan for just 256GB of extra storage is absolutely insane. Given its brand positioning, this price gap is truly absurd. Second flaw, a massive downgrade in the camera system. The main sensor dropped from Sony lit-808 to lit-906. The telephoto was downgraded from Sony IMX882 to Samsung GN5. Even the ultrawide has been nerfed, swapping Samsung GN5 for the Omnivision OV50D. And Hasselblad was taken back by the parent company, Oppo. Usually, even if a brand backtracks, they only downgrade one spec. Like, maybe the telephoto, right? Or, the ultra-wide. But downgrading everything is just too much. Even the main camera is a step back. It is exactly as I mentioned in the title and thumbnail. It's no longer like the previous OnePlus numbered series, which aimed to be an all-rounder. Instead, it is chasing gaming performance like the A series. From its high refresh rate to its gaming optimizations, it has become a specialized performance device. Unlike the previous OnePlus flagship numbered series, which were built as true flagships, those had a more balanced approach, more of a complete all-rounder. That is it for the pros and cons. Now, for some buying advice. In terms of color recommendations, I suggest Dune Sand and the black one. The purple is a bit too loud. Personally, I'm not a fan. Its target audience is no longer the user looking for a value-for-money flagship. I feel it is now aimed at value-conscious hardcore gamers. Its high refresh rate, gaming optimizations, and the WinSpeed gaming engine are all big pluses for gaming. However, because the overall build quality is excellent, and it features those physical symmetric bezels, once you pick it up, it still has that premium flagship feel. The flagship vibe is definitely there, but you know how it is. At its core, it is no longer the same flagship as the previous digital series. And here is the thing. It is eligible for the national subsidy. In certain regions, you can get that government trade-in subsidy. If you can get the subsidy, I think the price is actually quite reasonable, $500. After all, everyone in the industry is raising prices. It is just that the price hikes for its RAM and storage are honestly quite ridiculous. Now, let's talk about the OnePlus brand. The OnePlus brand was actually born with a silver spoon in its mouth. It has been directly led by Pete Law since its inception, focusing primarily on overseas markets. Its brand identity and positioning are indeed higher than its two current direct competitors, Redmi and iQOO. If you value both performance and build quality, and you're a hardcore mobile gamer, this is highly recommended. But the prerequisite is that you don't take many photos, or at least don't have high standards for the camera. Does this conclusion sound familiar? Usually, this kind of verdict applies to the A series, Redmi's K series, or various iQOO models. Now, this same critique has actually fallen upon the main OnePlus digital series. It is honestly a bit disheartening. So, as my title suggests, don't just view it as the OnePlus 15. It is not the digital series flagship you remember. It's actually closer to being an Ace Pro model. You might think the OnePlus 15 got a price cut, but in reality, the A6 Pro just got more expensive.